So welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success story series of interviews where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forward. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Sam Hasson, who's the co-founder of Sales Director at Tinkle. So Sam, firstly, really great to see you and thank you for coming on board. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and Tinkle and how you help your clients, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, hey Chris, no, thank you for asking us to join. When I saw the subject, it was certainly something which I was really keen to come and talk to your listeners of a business in Yorkshire and the North about. So yeah, I'm Sam, the co-founder of Tinkle. We're a cloud communication service provider headquartered here in Leeds, born in Yorkshire. We, put it simply, we enable all businesses to have the big business benefits of cloud communications in a real simple format, and also in a way in which enables our business to have the benefit without the big business cost. So super simple, no contracts, instant access, and managing that whole customer experience on demand. We're a true tech company, and we believe in giving businesses and also employees in the area a good chance to become more productive, efficient, work from anywhere, all those good business statements.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So, I mean, I'm guessing what you do is really so relevant right now with people looking at how they're going to operate as a team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as you can imagine, as a business which sort of formed and created during the pandemic, it was insane that we were able to allow customers to work from anywhere on any device and not have to be tied by the old legacy technology of on-premise phone systems, ISDN lines, and really help support people transition into that new way of working, which is really good for people's mental well-being, the flexibility to work from home, obviously reducing carbon emissions. There's also really good things that come from remote working, which we're really happy that Tinkle was able to support with.
Brilliant, wonderful. Well, look, if we start just talking a little bit about your background, how you got into business and why this particular one, that would be great.
Yeah, so I really, put it simply, I came to Leeds sort of 15 years ago after doing a sports and exercise degree at John Moores. I came to Leeds because I'd done all the M62, I'd done Manchester, Liverpool, and I didn't want to end up in Hull, so I came to Leeds. No, I'm only joking for people from Hull, I'm only joking. But for me, really, it was the opportunity to work on a sales graduate scheme with a sort of a new start company on Meanwood Road, who was selling telecoms, and I got sponsored by a graduate as a graduate scheme with a large global manufacturer of phone systems, on-premise phone systems, called Astra. And I worked my way through, and I worked really predominantly in growing and learning about being a salesperson and learning about how to generate opportunity, how to close opportunity, but also how to position technology to help businesses in terms of improving how they work and operate. And yeah, it was definitely a learning curve, from door knocking to compliment slips to generating everything from scratch. Back in the day when things such as a proper web-based marketing wasn't even around, right? It was the old school way of grounding networking events. Obviously, Chris, I mean, we met 15 years ago at BNI, right? And going out and finding leads and business, and that was a true learning curve in my sales career, and one which I'll never forget, which then gives us a basis of work ethic, which I think is really important. Getting information wasn't available. And then moved to a national company, a regional company, the national company, which is where I learned a lot of skills, and also encountered a lot of different issues, which I'm keen to talk about in terms of the leveling up of how the opportunities are presented to young sales professionals and young people coming into business within the North, right? So I first-hand experience with a national company, the sales team in London, who are able to go and sit 5 meetings a day if they want to, because they can dart about on the tube, and the fact that we were limited to maybe go and see 2 or 3 at a push, looking at the northern regions because of the physical infrastructure, right? The fact that you have to sit on the M62, you have to go and cut across over the Pennines, or it was just the commuter links, and it became ever apparent that I was a fantastic salesperson, but when I was competing to be the #1 in this big national company, I was literally hamstrung by the fact that I wasn't able to see as many businesses, and also those businesses that I was seeing were of different types. There are more manufacturing, more rural, which didn't have the investment of what the London hub had. And so I had to work around that, right? I had to work smarter. But ultimately, it did drive me to my next role, going to a global provider where I predominantly worked down in London for large periods of my career, because that's where the opportunity was for me to thrive and success, because the business was there, you know. And the whole part of Tinkle and what we want to create here is a culture that, obviously, with the technology changing in the years since I've been in business, it means that you don't have to obviously worry about being present within London, which is great, but equally allowing people to understand that we can use technology to drive business forward without having to worry about too much of those discrepancies.
Brilliant, brilliant. So when you were growing up, is this the sort of thing you always thought you would be doing?
Not to start with, no. I was quite a keen athlete. I represented my county running, football, and then nationally and also sort of internationally with cycling on the cyclocross. Yeah, so I always dreamed that I was going to be some sort of a professional athlete. And then when I realised I went to university and there was an opportunity to go out too much, that's really quite changed. And but actually, my key focus has always been to go into company, to run a business and own a business. And actually, most people who has had that drive and focus from the start, that I wanted to do what I'm doing. And that's been the main sort of focus within my career. I've had this light that I want to do it, but I don't want to do it for the wrong reasons, i.e. just led by money, because I don't think that's the way in which I'm made up for success. Because that will come when you're doing something that you're happy with. That I definitely learned with regards to my career so far.
Brilliant. Well, I know as we said before, we met each other quite a long time ago, and you've always been, for me, always quite a very driven person. So that what you just said makes absolute sense. And as you developed your career and obviously founding Tinkle, what would you say are some of the biggest issues you've had to overcome? Yeah,
so I think understanding my weaknesses around elements where I've got fantastic ideas, I've got loads of ideas, I come up with ideas every day. I'm thinking of different things from different elements, and my attention can be taken from different things, and I write them down. And it's actually, I think, understanding what I'm good at and where I'm limited. I'd say limited, or my areas where I'm not strong, and ensuring that I surround myself with a team or people where they can support me in those areas. I think that's the key element that I've sort of picked up and learned so far in business. So, for example, doing big sales pitches to global companies, I could stand up there and I could just talk about how this technology and the story will enable them to deliver the outcomes that they want as a big business, or even as a small business, etc. But fundamentally, when you're looking at commercial structures, when you're looking at legal structures, when you're looking at marketing and design of sales campaigns, I know that there's certain elements of that which I'm completely not a fay with being able to support on that. And you don't achieve anything on your own. I think understanding that you're a part of a team and creating a team which are all working towards the vision is the thing which I've learned the most throughout my career so far, and is one thing which I've definitely, on the bigger deals and working for bigger companies, that team effort becomes more apparent, right? Because the requirement to have all those different sections of people coming together to achieve the same common goal, which is securing a new piece of business. But equally, that could fall into keeping and retaining customers in terms of a team. And that's the ethos and culture we have here at Tinkle, right? It's everybody's here in a team, they have a purpose, we've got a real clear vision around what we want to do. And I feel like that's one of the big things I've definitely learned about myself. The standard stuff is continued belief, right? I think everyone suffers, every business owner sometimes suffers from that self-doubt. What have you done? And that's mostly a daily thing sometimes. That are you making the right decision? Should we sign off? Especially at the start, and even now with regards to technology, it's never changed. It's ever changing, and opportunities present itself, Chris, around should we invest in this part of the market or technology? Should we change this? And sometimes we've got it right, and sometimes we most probably could have not avoided it and potentially focused on some key areas. Yeah, especially when you're looking at a telephony platform, which we've got, which can be targeted towards helping new start businesses get up and running cost effectively, contracts to establish companies and to helping our reseller channel. And then also we've got a Teams platform. It's like, where do you go? It's like so many different elements. So I would say definitely focus, cover your weaknesses, and surround yourself by people which make you smile really as well. I think that's the key thing. I think when you're working in some environments I've worked in the sales world, it can be pretty lethal in terms of just every man for themselves. You feel it's soulless. A lot of times I've seen, Chris, absolutely soulless. People are just, I compare it to a carcass, right, in the desert, and everybody's just wanting to eat their little bit, and afterwards they all start eating each other. That's sometimes some of the culture that I've seen, right? And this is awful, and this is one thing I just do not want to repeat with what I'm doing here at Tinkle.
Brilliant. Well, it's clear culture's a big part of what you do. So that and it is all the successful organisations I've been involved with and familiar with is if you start with a strong culture, then and you lead with that, then we have a platform for success. So that sounds great. I think already that we're a coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coach or coaches is you've ever worked with, whether that's in business, sport, or life.
Yeah, so I mean, this is I've had some fantastic sports coaches and starting out from when I was at Sale Harriers in Manchester, and I can never forget the coaches there, which helped me when I was young, not have the nerves to do big races and believe in you to do that things from a sporting capacity. And then if you look at a personal perspective, I mean, it might sound cliche or cheesy, but my partner, who she is a bedrock of coaching me. She knows me inside out. She knows obviously my weaknesses, as she would continually let me know. I like most good women, but I definitely stand by every successful, I don't want to say man is a successful woman, I should be driving them or helping them be a better person and stuff like that. So that's that one. But equally, in business, I've met some fantastic inspirational leaders from working obviously at a global corporates who sponsor me in the team. But even now, I would say working with my business partner here, Joe, he's always had that belief. We've known each other for 15 years, and he's seen my career go one way and come back together to form what is this, and I've learned a lot from him.
Brilliant, wonderful. And have you picked up any favourite quotes or sayings that you rely on a regular basis?
I mean, there's tons in there in the sales. I think looking from the sales world, there's loads, isn't there? But for me, I think it's dead simple. It's just make it happen. I think you got to make it happen, and no one else will do it for you. Make it happen. There's always a way. When you're setting up anything, it makes it seem like there's never going to be a way forward, but there is a way forward, and you have to make it happen. And that's the way in which I've sort of done my whole career. Make it happen. You can't go to see 5 meetings a day, but how do you make it happen? Yeah. How can you get a tech company off the ground with 10 grand? Like, you got to make it happen, and no one else will do it for you. I think that's the thing. No one else will do it for you. I'm not sure to believe in a team, obviously, but equally, it's you who can do it, really.
Yeah. No, brilliant. I'm interested, actually. I mean, we've not met for a little while, but I know you've built a career in sales, and as you've talked about already. And what would you say are some of the key, if you were to give sort of a few points of advice for someone thinking of going into sales, what would be some of the key tips you give them?
Yeah, I think, one thing I had to learn quite quickly is that you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? And when you're like me and you love finding out about people, it's really hard to start off to not just tell everybody what you know. And I think one of the key things is that there is a process. Sales isn't a gift of the gab. It isn't throw enough mud at a wall and it sticks. Sales is actually, I think and I believe that you could train anybody to be a good salesperson through a process. I genuinely believe that. And I've had some of the best coaching and training sales training courses that have been around, and I believe that sales is a process, and it can be scientifically generated to show you how that works. And that is true. I believe that if you stick to the process and you practice the process, the only other elements that come with it is things which you can't control, which is emotional intelligence and how quick you are to learn around the steps of that process and to adapt to that process, and also equally a big dose of making it happen. If you're doing new logo sales, there's the tenacity to go and put that call into the leader at the right time, to ask the questions at the right time. So I think go into it with obviously the hard work ethic, go into it with the fact that you've got one mouth and two ears to listen to the customer, and then follow the process and structure. Let the customer talk, find out the outcomes and deliver the process. And with that and energy and are willing to learn, you'll have a really good opportunity in the marketplace. And that's what I would give advice about. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I 100% agree. I think it's interesting. I think sales has a particular view, you know, in the UK especially, of sales and salespeople. Whereas, you know, if I'm believing that in the States, in the United States, you know, it is very much a profession, and I believe it's a profession. It is something that is learned. It's a system. It's a process. It, as you said, it's not just about having the gift of the gab. That is, you know, it's about understanding, as you say, questioning people. Understand we can't help somebody if we don't know what their challenges are. So that the two ears and one mouth is bang on. But yeah, the more we actually follow a process and have a systems in place, the more successful we'll be, and the more consistent we'll be, I guess.
Yeah, keep it simple. I mean, naturally, I found it really hard to start my career, and I still now, I'll be really honest, is focus. I think focus is really, really hard, especially when you're getting a company up and running and you've got all of the life, you've got young families, or you've got family, you've got personal things, you've got all these things attacking your focus. And you just got to keep it simple and just make sure that each day you're delivering something that's offering value to the business. And in sales, that's it. I mean, it's about, you can spend your whole day on LinkedIn just looking at stuff. That doesn't get the deal done. That doesn't work on stuff. So every day it's about being structured, and knowing if you are potentially able to let your mind wander onto other things, that you've got to stay focused, write it every day in your plan. And that's how I started out, right? I started out literally with a little piece of paper every day, working out what is the most important, least important, and really measurably now, obviously we've got notes, we've got loads of automation and all this. Yeah, but basic, keep it simple.
Brilliant, fantastic. And so, looking towards the future with yourself and Tinkle, what do you see as the as you develop? What do you see as the main challenges you face, if any?
Yeah, no, we face many challenges like any business. Obviously, there is the fact we're leaderless at the moment, and we don't know who our PM is going to be. I think there is the potential of a downturn in the economy with all of how this being managed. I think that comes with opportunity for businesses, but also I think it comes with challenges. For someone like Tinkle, we're ready made and well placed to support businesses on that transition from the BT, ISD and switch off to move to something like Tinkle, where they can control that engagement. They don't have to have an agreement. They don't have to be tied into long-term leases of equipment or contracts. They can access it and they can cost effectively scale up and scale down. So I feel like we're well placed to support that, but also equally we recognize that that's going to have an impact, and we need to be aligned to how businesses, when they make that transition from this legacy infrastructure to the new infrastructure, and also whether there is a downturn in the economy, and then supporting them to scale back and scale up, or actually more importantly, help them drive and differentiate by enabling them to work from anywhere, enable them to be productive, enabling their salespeople to see the stats. There's so many things in which our business proposition can help businesses. That we're in good shape. I would say that like all businesses, you want to improve all of the efficiencies and performance and training and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's sort of, I think they're the main things really. Is making sure you keep an eye on what's going ahead. With BT switch off and the recession and potentially and the change of leadership, but more importantly, as I say, is just make it happen.
Brilliant, love it. Yeah, I think that's the phrase I'm gonna
I say it's all the time. Yeah.
It's funny. It's very similar. I think it feels very similar. So, one of the phrases our founder Brad uses a lot that I have on my wall on a regular basis, which is do whatever it takes. And it is often just doing whatever it takes will make things happen. So just and keen on any words of advice you've got for anyone that's thinking of going to business right now.
Obviously have a plan. Obviously make sure that if you ideally you can test your service, you can speak to customers, make sure that there's a clear defined opportunity in the market for your service. Concentrate on what makes you different, concentrate on why you, because these are the things which people buy. There's tons of telecoms companies, there's tons of coaching companies, but what makes you different? And just really simply keep it simple, just word the 3 things why you're different, and also use yourself as a leader to promote that and advocate that, and people buy into you as that sort of evangelist of your business. And if you don't believe it properly yourself or understand what makes you great, then no one else is. So like for us, it's about the technology, keeping it simple, enabling us to really give businesses the big enterprise features that big expensive companies have, but for less money. And we actually believe in that. That's the thing. So create a belief that you want from a company and don't just set it up to make money, because and for me, I think I don't think that's the way in which you'll be successful.
Love it. Couldn't agree more. And you'd be amazed how many businesses I meet that don't really have clarity on what makes them different, and what problems they're solving. As you rightly say, what is it we're doing, and does it actually add value? And as we always say, if we don't know what makes us different, then the only thing we can compete on is price. Yeah, and that's a race to the bottom, and that's
and especially if you look at what's happening in the forecasts or potential stuff, what makes you different is the thing which is going to stand out from the crowd, and that's it, right? If you're just, you say, providing the same technology with the same outcomes as everybody else, and you position it that way, then you're not going to enable any differentiation. So definitely have a clear plan, put 3 or 4 points down around why it makes you different, and concentrate on them with your marketing. Push yourself on social channels, be brave, get in front of the camera. And no one likes it. Well, I don't mind it actually now. I'm joking, but like, don't be scared. Just go for it. Just go for it, as you said.
I definitely have to overcome with that. Yes, I've got. I think they used to say a face for radio. I think is the phrase that people use.
You're right, Chris. I like it. I like it. I'm just trying to have the grey bits now. That's why I'm talking like this.
You have to share. Get the side.
I've got a little bit here coming through. Yeah.
Shorter haircut. That's what works out for sure. But no, I absolutely bang on. And going back to something else you said about sort of culture. I strongly believe our culture and our values can be a significant point of difference too. It's how we do things is as important as what we do and what makes a difference. And just being clear on our values and our purpose can really differentiate ourselves. So what would your thoughts on that be?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I feel like my career has sort of taught me all the rights and wrongs, and much more heartaches and more negative impacts around how a company can make you feel emotionally and make you feel to the point of where you could be depressed, and you could be anxious, and you could be completely miserable from a culture that isn't giving something back. And so when I formed Tinkle, it was all about making sure the culture was right. And I agree. I feel if people look at the brand, right, Tinkle, it's funny, it's a smile, it's about making people feel good, right? And all our team believe that we can make businesses happy and we can enable them to do it. And of course things go wrong, right? We're a technology company. Internet connections will go down. There'll be issues with reception. I don't know, there's loads of stuff that happens in software. But ultimately, if a customer knows that you're trying to support them, and also the fact that you care about your service, but your people care about it,
Absolutely.
That's a really important.
Absolutely bang on. Music to me is 100% agree with everything you said. So that's wonderful. So finally, what would be the best advice you would give to an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do so?
Oh, there's quite a lot of advice actually. I can't mention all of it on here, but I know. Do you know what? I think it's be prepared to continue believing yourself, and also work smart, work hard, but also if you have to do something you don't enjoy, don't give up. There's going to be times in your career where you're working at somewhere, and I've had it where I was immensely unhappy, but I had to make it happen. I had to have the resilience. I would say have resilience. It is hard out there. It is tough, and no one's going to give you money for no reason. And I think there isn't this like golden bullet which comes through, and then all of a sudden your career will just explode into a flurry of money. It's not the case. But definitely now work with people which you feel would be invested in you. And even if you have to go and work for a bit of a smaller company to learn from that person, one of the things I've ever done in every company is I've found the most knowledgeable person and I've stuck to them. So whether it be a solution architect or whether it be the best salesperson in the company, I've gone and sort of absorbed all their information, and then I've overtaken them and I've gone to the next company. And so find someone who's the person that you want to be like, and go and become the friend. Go and ensure that you become them in the next 2 years, you know, and then go on to the next thing. And always keep, if you can, if you feel like you're getting stagnant, be brave to move. Be brave to move. And don't accept that that's your place within your career. Go and be brave. Go and take that bigger role, because you can jump into the sea, but if you don't swim up, then you know where you need to fit in within this whole ecosystem of business, right? And it's okay. And also equally, it's great if you find the level that you're at and you're happy. And this is one thing I see with my mates all the time, right? They're big successful corporates, but then they become unhappy because they've seen other people do well, but really they are happy. But that's fine. I think, and that's equally fine. Not everybody has to be unhappy with where they're up to. And don't try and, if you are unhappy, then figure out the place in which you need to go to. That's what I'd say.
Brilliant. Very sound advice. And I completely agree. A friend of mine, Philip Hesley, talks about, you know, one of the secrets of happiness is accepting and being comfortable with how things are. You know, we don't have to be always driven to the next level. And it's just you know what and being clear on what makes us happy, because sometimes we mislay what we think should make us happy with what actually makes us happy. And,
I couldn't agree more. And I think that's something in my career which I thought going to do 100 grand deal, going to do 200 grand, and then going to do a multi-million pound deal. I felt like that would make me the happiest in the world. And I realized that actually it doesn't, you know, and there's something really empty about that feeling when you've closed a 50 million pound deal and you go home and you're not smiling. That's literally where you have to realize, what do I do? Because that isn't about achievement and it isn't about money. That's about the whole thing of really where you're up to. So there'll be loads of people like that, right? It's very common, right?
100% agree. Well, Sam, it's been absolutely delightful and really interesting and inspiring, actually, to hear.
No. I mean, listen, Chris, obviously, great to catch up, and appreciate the Northern Powerhouse, something is which, like myself and the team here at Tinkle, really want to promote, and we're doing loads of different things around helping young people get into technology. So, brilliant. Thanks for the opportunity.
Well, no, thank you. And firstly, it'd be great maybe swing by in 12 months and just see where you are at the next stage.
Listen, I'd love to. Anything we can do and to catch up, obviously, catch up separately. But yeah, I'll welcome that opportunity, Chris.
We'll make that happen. And finally, if people want to get hold of you or Tinkle, what's the easiest way to do so?
Yeah, well, my email address is just sam.hasson, HASSON, at tinkle.co, not .com.co. Or they can email us from our website, or go on there and take a free trial, or get me on LinkedIn, just sam.hasson at Tinkle, or just Sam Hasson at Tinkle, and message me. I'm really keen to meet up with businesses and see how we can support them.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much.
Chris, brilliant. Thank you.